which means they take away Lee Sin. The great thing about this is they have first pick. So we mentioned those 4 junglers that everyone in the European LCS relied on against a European jungler that just joined TSM as well. They take Lee Sin, they leave him with a lower tier champion as they think.
And actually, Gleeb having quite a bit of say here, depending on what they're talking about, what the composition is going to be like, how can this play out. The last band taking the full time to get this one out as they do what they need to. And it's going to be a Jax to come out. So they actually leave themselves up a jungler that they can pick.
Yeah, that was actually very surprising by Team Solomid. It basically says Dyrus didn't want to play Jax, at least into maybe Balls' Renekton at that point. It gives them a lot of power picks left up. The Twitch was what Sneaky relied on to do well at the All-Star in Paris, and TSM can get that for Turtle. Turtle's a fantastic Twitch player. I really wonder what they're going to jungle, though. There's still Pantheon available. They can still do stuff like Nocturne. It's just not nearly as proven in this new season.
A little bit of Nocturne has definitely been seen lately. A lot of the TF has been coming out, too, to kind of synergize that global or quasi-global ultimate. We'll see what they have for themselves. The Twitch Shyvana locked in. The Half-Dragon for Dyrus, one of his top champions in play, so he's going to be perfectly fine on that in the top lane. And now we're going to see what Cloud9 has for themselves. We'll probably see a support here, since nobody has gotten themselves a yet. Thresh still on the board. LemonNation usually picking that one up if he needs to.
Yeah, it's so curious. When you see so many jungle priority picks, a lot of other stuff gets left up. LeBlanc is another thing that High used to play a lot of. It's a big Cloud9 favorite, and it's something Bjergsen dominated with many times in the spring split of 2014. Plus, they got that Morgana pick, which they were undefeated with last split.
Yeah, the LemonNation was loving it towards the end of the split. Everybody started to pick it up. WildTurtle decides he will be locking in Thresh for the team, and we get a Lulu here for Bjergsen in the mid lane. So it looks like he's going to be shutting down that LeBlanc with Lulu.
Lulu works wonderfully in Twitch team compositions, especially from the mid lane. It's the protection Twitch needs. I think one of the big reasons we're seeing Twitch come back is AD carries are kind of worth protecting again, and there's tools available for teams to do so. The Thresh and the Lulu on top of that will make it very difficult for High to pull off any assassinations on WildTurtle's Twitch.
Looking at Cloud9's team, kind of hard for an initiation. Where do they find themselves if they have to force these fights with what they've had so far?
Yeah, pretty much bindings. Pretty much bindings is what they're relying on. Or a nice kick backwards.
Wow.
Xin Zhao is the pick right there.
One of his favorites.
GSM. Yeah, it's something that was much bigger when Feral Flare was stronger when it first came in, but Feral Flare has received significant nerfs. Remember, we're playing LCS here on the 4.7 patch. So all the nerfs have happened to Feral Flare here. It's not the item it once was. You can still build Wriggles, and Xin Zhao has always been about early ganking, and he wasn't really about the flare. It's just that he could get it later in the game, and it gave him that extra power. That doesn't necessarily exist here to the point it did in the 4.5 or 4.6 patches.
We'll have to see how Amazing takes to it. TSM really looking to set a mark here. Coming into this, they had various weeks to plan out against Cloud9. Don't have to worry about a trap game. It's the first one they're coming in onto the season. I'm sure these guys have gone back and forth and scrimmed each other a bit. If they haven't, I'd be very surprised. But it's still, I'm looking at Gleeb a lot because it's interesting for TSM to grab that pick, unknown commodity. Talk about it a little bit more during the game. As we get here underway, let's check the predictions over at lolesports.com with 57% of the vote. You guys are calling this one for Cloud9.
Fan vote starting to swing their way, but if you change your mind after the first team fight or even after Champ Select, you can update your vote by tweeting us at LOL Esports, then use either the hashtag C9win or TSMwin, and we'll be updating that throughout the game as well.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Get your wins in.
What I like about this is Cloud9 pulled out the Teemo pick in the spring split.
Yeah, they did.
And was victorious against TSM. No such tomfoolery this time. They're staying very standard with their picks. And to get back to your Glee point as well, putting him on Thresh is another very high pressure situation. It's the technically complex support that helps and interacts with the team almost more so than the other ones that you'd be able to pick. It's a big test game right off the bat for him.
Also get yourself killed if you do the wrong things. The fans are ready. LCS and a summer split beginning here in 2014. We're still in the same year. Nothing's gone too fast. But we are going to see what happens now with the 2.7, or 2.7, 4.7. We do have the 30-second trinket, so early vision means a lot of movement.
Yeah, and we were talking with a lot of pros about this and how the lane swaps are kind of evolving now with the early warding. So it's still very much up in the air, but generally speaking, you want to try and get a lane swap either if the other team actually has a stronger level 1. That would mean that the team with the stronger level 1 gets to go bottom lane, the other team has to go top. Because bottom lane is still the lane you want 2 people in at the end of the day, since it helps with dragon control. But in this particular matchup, they're going standard. This is the way TSM and Cloud9 played against each other every single game of the playoffs, in which Cloud9 3-0'd.
Wow, TSM looks like it's kind of shifted with the recent tweets.
More active Twitter.
More active indeed.
TSM fans.
Doesn't look like too much for Cloud9. They're setting up the defense. We already see that Sneaky and Lemon are down towards the turret, so they're not going to be looking for too much. But now with the vision of TSM, they're privy to what's happening. Yeah,
everyone has been doing a lot of invading where they place wards and then they either recall in the jungle or just walk back out again. And this could end up resulting in a lane swap. We'll see.
Not seeing too many tricky things. Millennium actually, with Shyvana in the top lane, brought out the orb. Get a little vision on the game. They tried to get a thresh hook down towards the dragon, so teams have definitely been trying to utilize different effects here in the early part of the summer split. Get themselves on top of the league with a good record. Right now, Cloud9 and TSM, both the top of the league at the end of the spring split, looking to stay there right off the bat.
Yeah, 1-2. There's definitely going to be a team that's below second place after this happens, because no one wants to do that 0-1. It does look like we're going to be seeing the early lane swaps, and this isn't necessarily because TSM didn't want to lane 2v2. Some teams just like this now because it's a different style of game. Everyone generally knows the way the game is going to play out in the 2v2 because that's what everyone has played since the beginning of time of League of Legends. Ever since there's an AD carry support. Got to define the statement a little bit. But now it's all about who can move better, who can deny more farm. It's not about fast pushing anymore. It's actually about shutting down the enemy top laner. And if you're TSM, you've had balls get incredibly fed against you in the past in carry games. That might not happen if you try to shut him out like this.
It almost seems like this would really be something that favors Cloud9. Losing their blue right now, but we know LemonNation to be one to roam very early.
This was a bad move by Cloud9. Whenever you have a lane swap as such, you generally can rely on an invade of your second buff because the other team has more people on that side of the map. This is something Cloud9 is very familiar with. But instead, they ran to their blue anyway, thinking TSM wasn't going to be there. They're still going to trade buffs anyway. That is a lot of ground covered without experience gained for Cloud9.
Time being wasted here for C9. A lot of little things could give TSM the lead here, but the game is nowhere near one-sided yet. Dyrus and Amazing still sharing experience. We'll have to see what happens until Amazing comes up with his first gank. He's looking to really write a story for himself here, as well as Gleeb in that bottom lane. Still doing a bit of roaming here with the team.
Yeah, there could be a bit of a collision here in the mid lane. A lot of early wards out, though. High with the properly placed trinket ward. Try and keep himself safe here. And I do have to say, if we think back to when Turtle actually made it onto the scene, he was, at the time of playing, he got a pentakill in his first game. But at the time of playing, he was still an alternate. Whereas for Gleeb and Amazing, they're on the team right now. But there's still the same amount of pressure. This could be a 4-man dive. He's got to get out of there. He did.
Smart play. Ball's getting himself to safety. And Team Solomid's going to go fast on this top turret. Amazing actually isn't going to give any pressure to that. So they're going to slow this one and try to soak up more experience than get that turret.
We've been seeing so much more of this across every league in competitive. It is just about stopping the other team from farming more than doing the fast pushes. And the things you generally just have to track is how far behind are the top laners getting, because that's really the goals of both of these things. The mid laners get to have mostly an isolated game, 1v1 against each other. Hai and Bjergsen are trading very evenly early on, and it's just about Dyrus and Balls, who's going to be more far ahead or behind. And it looks like Dyrus has the slight lead, 6-2.
Doing what he can. Balls having his teleport to get back to where he needs to. Down towards the jungle. Looks like he's actually trying to get over to Meteos to share wraiths right now. There is not much for these guys to soak up, and it really is hurting. Meteos, like you said, having that time to run all the way over to blue. They're a little bit behind. He's level 4, Hai's level 5, so he's not keeping up with mid lane.
There's just been a buddy system this entire game for Dyrus and Amazing. They are basically double juggling, which is the craziest thing. You haven't seen that strategy in quite some time. Maybe from the Hexakill at All-Stars.
And it looks like Balls has kind of seen that with Dyrus out of lane, that's what he has to be doing. He's doing now the same thing with Meteos on the bottom side of the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, if I look all the way at the bottom turret, Cloud9 hasn't even touched it. So Sneaky and LemonNation have basically been freezing that bottom lane since the beginning of the game. And since they are the duo lane that has the bottom lane, they can just go and take this dragon since TSM isn't pushing either. This will give a very slight edge to Cloud9 as a team, but continue to deny balls a little bit. This is a very interesting start to this game.
A little bit of gold here. No map pressure really being gained on this one. They do have the timer for the dragon. Team Solomid not really thinking about that one just yet. And the shared experience still goes in. 42 to 43. I mean, we're going to see that the AD carries have quite a bit of CS in this one with nothing towards aggression in their faith. So 8.1 to 7.6 as this game rolls on. I don't think we'll see first blood for a little bit with this kind of action.
It really seems like it. They're very content just trading farm like this. And it's a little curious. I feel like the Trundle would outscale the Shyvana, but there's no scaling happening right now. Balls is at 2 CS, 6.5 minutes into the game. There's not much roaming going on because the junglers and the top laners are doing a buddy system up until this point in the game. If anything, it looks like High would have to break this stalemate by killing Bjergsen 1v1.
Very powerful. It seems that High's little hiatus there did not hinder any of his aggression in the mid lane. He still wants to try and get that kill.
Yeah, we have to ask that question, you know, with High being in the hospital for so long, has he had enough time back with the team, for one, communication-wise, which we won't be able to see yet until the teams really start moving around as teams. Since High, we talked about it all the time at All-Star, he is the guy who tells everyone on Cloud9 where to go.
Right.
And that was actually turned out to be Link during All-Star, so how is it going to be them swapping back to having High in that mid lane? Will they be able to call that?
Right.
And is just his straight 1v1 mechanics have been. I'm sure everyone has taken a week off a league before they go back and play it again. They feel awful. Imagine just doing that and then playing against Bjergsen.
The individual skill has to come out just as much as the team. We know High to be the one who doesn't focus CS as much, but even with LeBlanc right now, he's keeping up with Lulu, the lane pusher, the farmer. So he's definitely got top notch right now and doing pretty well for himself. See if he can continue to do this. A lot of movement by Team Solomid towards the top side that Bjergsen wants to get his hands on as well.
Be a 5-man roam if they actually go that far.
Yeah, turret's gonna be there. You can see the wariness of balls right now. He absolutely knows what's going on. Nobody's mid. Vision around the map is very dark for us right now. This is not looking good.
Yeah, as curious as this game is, I think there's more efficient ways for TSM to do this. They're playing it very safe by doing the extended buddy system in the jungle, the 5 men on one side of the map, but there's so much farm they're sacrificing. Instead of it being kind of a bottom left to top right map, it is a bottom right to top left map as far as where people are standing.
Shifted.
Yeah, the top half on the left is to TSM, the bottom half is to C9, and Balls is just trying to scrape what he can. As amazing there, he's level 6.
No, gets hit back, doing what he can to get out of this one. The 3-talon knocking him up, and it's going to be the first blood. 8.5 minutes in, not even level 6 in that top lane.
Maybe that's the plan for TSM. It definitely seems like it. They're shutting out Balls, which is what Cloud9 has really relied on as their carry. All the while at All-Stars, you could really track their success. Were the ganks for Balls successful?
Yep.
How fed is their top laner? Everything was actually working around him. You can't work around a level 5, 9 CS Trundle as the pillar for your team to revolve around. It just doesn't work. Now it's got to be Sneaky and High doing the heavy lifting.
And that's something I was just thinking about as well, is Cloud9 kind of okay with letting all of this happen because they think they have the better team fight with 2 new members on Team Solomid. Is that organized 5 just going to go ahead and take the fight over?
Cloud9's always been a team that has had spectacular team fight instincts, you'd almost say. Because we listen to their communications and team fights, and they're actually very sparse. They don't say much. They just know what each other are going to do. That's something that only comes after hundreds of games of repetition with each other. And there's no way TSM can have that immediately. TSM will have to have more pre-planned fights or just stronger initiations outright so they don't have to deal with the innate communication or just synergy advantages of Cloud9.
WildTurtle. Oh, could be getting a good bit of damage, but Dyrus in the top lane as well tries to get a flash over the wall with the Dragon's Rage coming out immediately. One last shot, the auto attack, the heal, and the flash. WildTurtle trying to make it sneaky here, but can he get the kill? High could be going down for this one. I don't see him getting out. He grabbed the clone. No, he grabbed the right one. The clone went to the top side. Well played by both teams.
All right, so Cloud9 gets a gank in the top line. At that point, there's a kill trade in the bottom lane, and how does Cloud9 react to that? The gold is still very close after this one, and things actually just kind of reset, crazily enough.
Yep. Dyrus getting a big flex on the muscles there to the top turret. You see Meteos And Ball's running right away, but Meteos will not stop at that. He's going to head into the jungle and get a good vision in. TSM's thinking the same thing, and Amazing's going to take a little bit before he leaves. Let's see if Meteos passes over this ward, and he does. Nice job.
Ooh.
Oh, hey-oh.
He passed over it.
Never mind.
Always check for the pinks.
His money, his pockets are full of gold, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
There's a chance he was scared of a Twitch somewhere.
That's true.
Or Thresh. Those pink wards can often
5 seconds is a long time to stand
Would
still.
say he missed it, though, in all likelihood. TSM now trying to push mid with 4. Interestingly enough, there's 2 kills on Amazing right now. He's actually went with the Lizard Elder, so not even going the Wriggles Lantern route. He will not scale very well into the late game with that gold. He needs to use that right now for more jungle invades, more pressure, and most likely a dragon fight. He wants to shop within the next, pretty much right after this camp, so he has spent that 1,200 gold sitting in his inventory, and they can make an advantage. Good job by him recalling right now.
So if that happens and you buy the Lizard, are you kind of forced to be a tank, or can you kind of switch into damage still?
Xin Zhao has never been fantastic as a damage dealer. That is basically going to be his sole damage item, and then he goes tank from there, and will just rely on trying to stick to people and create action that way.
Well, movement towards the bottom lane. We'll see if this can be formulated for a dragon. Dyrus has the lane in a good position to make his way diagonally across the map for help there, but the teleport on Balls is up, so he can definitely make it a lot faster. 12 minutes into the game, we're getting to that point where Cloud9 would be able to test that 5v5 of Team Solomid. And it looks like TSM's going to get ready for it. Blue being picked up by Bjergsen. Hai wants to know what's going on as well.
Yeah, Dragon is live. Balls is going to try and get as much free farm in the top lane as he can, while this Dragon is just kind of poked around at 4. He does have his teleport to come in, whereas Dyrus' teleport was on cooldown, so he's actually trapped down here. Cloud9 wants to dilly-dally around this Dragon for as long as possible to allow Balls to get back into this game, because they need that Trundle to be strong.
He's quite a bit behind, only able to sustain in lane with the Scepter right now, so he's not trying to put anything in front of him that's going to get him killed. Good ward kills going down. 2 pink wards controlled right now on Dragon by Team Solomid. So far, they have it.
And I do wonder how much reevaluation of the game TSM did during the offseason. They did not buy that many pink wards last split. Bjergsen himself bought 1 or 2 the entire split. He's got 1 in his inventory right now, and there's 2 on the map for TSM as a whole. Cloud9 putting the teleport out, going in!
They're all taking some good damage. Amazing trying to go in, but he's going down immediately. No HP there. Dyrus is going to be trying to go on the front line. Dragon's descent into 3 members, and it's going to be sneaky. Put down the shot. A double kill for Meteos as he puts on the pain. WildTurtle's going to get shot here. A good Q coming in from Sneaky. A flash on the Sonic Wave. No following resonating strike, and we see Bjergsen heading for the hills.
I mean, Riv, you and I were just talking about this. How was the team fight coordination of TSM going to be versus a team as experienced as Cloud9? It looked like they had no team fight coordination there. Complete disarray as Cloud9 destroyed them. Now TSM pushing him off the Dragon because Cloud9 is at least low, and there's respawns for TSM.
Good power and thought here. This call coming from Bjergsen and the rest of the team, and this would be quite scary to keep going in on. We do see that Hai is getting that lane push, so they have something to worry about in the bottom lane, and hopefully can just go back for this Dragon.
Well, TSM knows that Cloud9 delayed their recalls because of the Dragon attempt, so TSM, despite losing the team fight 3-0, will get the Dragon to kind of recompensate them for some of the gold they lost. Overall, the Dragon's going to be worth about 1.5 kills, so not a great trade, but they keep it even in gold, despite the disastrousness nature of that team fight.
What a great first game to the split. Dragons have now been traded in the game. Few invades to start it off, and Team Solomid is keeping themselves just about $1 grand behind on this one. Still looking for Balls to get himself bigger in that lane. Looks like he's going for a Blade of the Rune King right off the bat to keep alive in these fights and sustain. Get help on High here for the blue buff. So back to farming now until we can really get something of an objective to go after.
Yeah. Now I think the game really begins. Cloud9 has the confidence of completely outmaneuvering TSM in that last team fight. High with the Deathfire Grasp as well actually speaks to them not doing a direct team fight, more wanting to pick off individual targets. He might be looking for WildTurtle a little bit more. WildTurtle has a tendency to go to side lanes by himself and try and farm up. That's when High would look to assassinate.
Right now, sticking with Sneaky in the mid lane, knowing that's going to be pushed in quite fast. High puts himself to the bottom. And Amazing picks up his red buff. So Team Solomid now trying to formulate. Dyrus stays in that mid lane with everyone. They're putting 5 here. Looks like they want to get something out of this. Looking for a Gleeb hook, possibly. Ultimates are up across the board.
Ooh. Dark Binding, scraping Bjergsen on the side. Cloud9 does not have many here, so Cloud9 trying to burn everything to keep this wave off. It's rather dangerous. They might just lose this turret.
A lot of definitive pressure right there. The calling's the only thing they have to give them breathing room with wave at that turret. Looks like they'll be all right for it. LemonNation with Tormented Soil can give a little bit of help. We saw how much damage that turret took, and TSM is looking to put their foot down now. And
slowly but surely, while TSM sits here in the mid lane, Balls is getting himself back into the game. TSM had given Dyrus a slight edge. At one point, it was about 55 to 30. Now it's only 11 CS, and the same assist number on both sides. Dyrus hits that binding with the turret as well. All the while, Balls is farming. This is a sacrifice turret for the LeBlanc and Trundle farm.
Gonna be big. High getting himself a lot of farm in that bottom lane. Like we said, he's not usually one with the higher, and everybody in this game is quite low if you go ahead and look at it. About 150 CS at the 18-minute mark is usually what you're seeing. So right now, a little under. We'll see what they can do to get themselves back. Balls has got himself back to 63 and 63 on the lane. I don't know if he's want to be fighting with that yet.
Yeah, he definitely wants to complete his items before he makes any big moves. And he's freezing the lane, trying to deny the farm back from Dyrus. It's so much more denial of farm is happening now. After everyone played against SKT in that All-Star game, Flash had to be burned by Amazing. He was
high thinking he could take Amazing. He knows. He knows the clever tricks. Nothing new to him. Double sweeper. Yeah. 2 for 1. Very nice.
That was actually a big example of one of Xin Zhao's weaknesses as a jungler. He is very much all in, but has no escaping mechanisms. And that's something Meteos was very adamant about on why he doesn't like playing Xin as a jungler. Is just because that exact thing. If he is ever in a posturing position and someone else closes on him, he has no option but to either re-engage or burn his flash. If you're on a Lee Sin, Kha'Zix, you can always either repel or jump away. Instead, Amazing loses his flash and a lot of pressure as a jungler.
Slow farming in the top lane. A lot of pings towards the bottom. It looks like TSM isn't looking to get too much, but just the extra turret right now. Get a push on the bottom lane, try to formulate a bit of gold. Meteos has that stop on his mind, but he's actually backing, so they may be able to get this with Bjergsen. A little bit of gold is going to be necessary. With that gold lead going about 3,000 now, items are going to start becoming apparent in the inventory of Cloud9 that are not there for Team Solomid.
Yeah, and Bjergsen is going to have to be a much more central factor in the next team fight that happens. If we get to see another scrap around the Dragon Pit, he needs to be that supportive mid laner, kind of like he was on Karma when they won their semifinal game against COG in the NA playoffs. He can't just be a no factor, no assists, and he can't take free damage like that.
Ooh, Dyrus taking a little bit of pain here. Looks like he'll be able to get out of that one safely. You know, speaking a little bit about Bjergsen, maybe. Speaking about Bjergsen, puts out a Glitter Lance to save the team. Himself in mid lane didn't really see a lot of Amazing like Odd1 would have been.
Definitely not, but that's just because of the nature of the game. We hadn't really seen early games react like this in North America. We've seen early game turret dives, we've seen early game fast pushes, we've seen standard lanes. We haven't seen extended kind of rotate the map 90 degrees and keep playing like we did at this one.
Play it sideways.
Where it was just top lane denial. With that said, though, 100 CS now on Balls. Cloud9 has successfully stalled the game long enough for him to become relevant.
It's a very scary team to be losing your outer turrets to. Once Cloud9 can get into the jungle, most of their team can pop over walls, can do whatever they need to, bind over a wall, and keep that fight going. Team Solomid in that fight has a lot of defensive and back-off moves to disengage. Cloud9 is looking to do that. With those outer turrets down, they start to move in a little bit more. Make sure they clear out for safety.
And there's going to be so many questions as well about TSM as a move throughout the season. Obviously, when you add 2 new players at the very start of the season, you can't expect immediate success because there's so much different in the team. There's many different things to work on.
Right.
Another thing we have to look at is Odd1 and how he's going to be a coaching influence. Is it going to be another one of those St. Vicious' coaching Team Curse where he helps out for a couple weeks and then fizzles out? Is it just saying he's going to coach, or is he really going to be a positive impact, showing Amazing how to work with Bjergsen, how to work with the rest of the team, teaching them how to shot call? And as we've seen so far, TSM has looked a little bit in disarray. That could be because they're a new team. It just means they really have a lot to work on.
And it can go to even playing with that person. You know they have the right mind, but you may even still second guess that.
Yeah.
It can hurt a situation a lot. Balls to the top lane. teleports up on both sides, and the Dragon is alive, but Cloud9 is already 2 steps ahead on this one. As TSM is actually formulating quite a bit towards the top side now, putting a lot on balls.
Well, the idea would have been to put a lot on balls, but they really didn't do anything. While the Dragon was being taken, they had no pressure on lanes. They got maybe a little bit of war control, but Balls is ahead of the game, sees them across the wall. There wasn't even a buff to steal, and now TSM is pushing up the mid lane, or getting pushed up the mid lane. They actually might win on this turret push. Cloud9 staying in the mid, though. This could be a bit of a race trade.
C9 without too many minions in the mid lane, I believe. Sneaky gets hit up right there. That's the HP that he needed to stay alive. The culling in the face, and it's going to be the Contaminate to take him down.
Sneaky gets twitched at that point.
Yep.
It's very little you can do when a twitch gets up in your face with Blade of the King. Sneaky ended up burning both his summoner spells and still fell. So he's even at more risk. He can't necessarily split push like that on his own with Twitch having no eyes on the map.
So WildTurtle now has something on his plate that he can go and look for. I don't think Sneaky's going to be doing that, as you said, anymore. The Triforce almost built up on that. He's got a 30 CS lead in his lane. That's what it looks like going to be a Phantom Dancer and a Blade. Just see. Sneaky tries. He gets a quick Blade of the Rune King off. But
yeah, I mean, Sneaky tried to do all the right things. He immediately turned on him. He used his spells, got auto attacks on in between them, but Twitch just does more. More damage straight off the bat. That's the big reason he's gotten so much prevalence in this type of game, is not only is he a good late game carry, but in the farm denial type of game these guys are playing where you're just not able to farm lanes, WildTurtle shows why there. You pop up on someone as soon as he felt he was safe and he gets a kill.
Twitch also providing that one-off in a fight where it kind of ruins the positioning of the other team. They have to be considering spray and pray or rat-a-tat-tat the whole time. And that's going to start doing damage, even though it reduces to 40%. Still hurts as it goes through your team members. 5-3 in kills right now. We're 22, about a half minutes into this game, and TSM formulating towards the bottom side, and that's going to give Cloud9 a bit of a run here.
Yeah, they're going to be rushing this. It's a question of how fast can TSM get here. That Baron goes down real fast, and Bjergsen is really lagging behind right now.
They do have that Blade of the Rune King onto balls. That's going to help on the percentage damage. Baron down to 3,000, 2,000 now, 1,500. They are close, but amazing is not. Baron goes down. And Cloud9 is going to set themselves up for a run at the front door.
These are positional and shot-calling things for Cloud9. We're wondering how Cloud9 was going to adapt with High coming back. It looks like they're right where they left off. They know exactly where to go. They saw the move bottom lane. They just rushed the Baron. No fear, no hesitation. Whereas TSM was caught with Happy Feet running back and forth from the bottom lane. Cost him a Baron.
Very much out of position. An error indeed for Team Solomid, especially with Bjergsen so far behind. An uncontested Baron, only 23 minutes into the game, something we usually see as a fight and a crazy take. They're going to do whatever they want here. Sneaky trying to act as bait and mid, balls with a push towards the top lane, and Team Solomid is going to have the multitasking now to take care of.
Yeah, Dyrus trying to do some attention drawing over here, getting that bottom lane turret down as low as he can. Still can't take that one out. The longer he is down there, the more dangerous it becomes for TSM. There's a big gold lead and a Baron buff. A 4v5 dive, even with the teleport threat up, could still end the game if you're TSM.
That attack speed coming out of balls on Trundle. Another turret goes down. A big surge of money coming in with Baron and 2 following turrets to only lose 1. No members have even dropped in this last experience that Cloud9 had, and Dyrus is going to do what he can. Teleport's still up, but he's going to decide to go back now. Yeah,
a 1 turret for 2 trade. Maybe the best TSM could have done considering the circumstances that they were down a Baron buff. Now is where the map really starts to get starved out. You can see there's 2 pink wards on the map right now for Cloud9. There's 4 more in inventories. Lemon already has a pink ward out, so they can get 5 pink wards on the map right now as they try and completely control the vision of every little jungle minion of TSM. And since they've taken out all of their outer turrets as well, they can really start starving out the farm. If you're TSM right here, you don't have many plays. You may want to wait in the jungle and hope to catch someone warding while balls is bottom, but that's a dangerous game against a team with a big gold lead and a Baron buff.
And it's scary to give a team this kind of lead at this time. We talked a little bit about TSM's changes. Cloud9, first place in both splits, same roster, 2 seasons running. They know when to turn that mark on. They know when they can push the next level.
And how much better did the other 4 members of the team get playing at All-Star? They got to scrim so many times against SKT. They got the experience against the Chinese teams. They beat Fnatic even. They did very, very well. And a lot of that experience might be showing through here. Obviously, it's just 1 game. Can't read too much into it. We got 27 more after this. This performance looks real good, though.
They got the members in the right spot every time. A little bit of a gathering here in the bottom lane, and there's not much that Team Solomid can do. Brute force takes the turret down. They were afraid to guard the outer turret. That's how it goes in this much strength in the game.
Yeah, how can they really get through the siege now? Do they land hooks? Are they willing to dive? These are going to be the questions. They have a little bit of tankiness on the balls. If he ults amazing, he would get a lot of resistances, and Cloud9 could maybe try and finish him off. That might be what they're waiting for, because they're not trying any type of split push. Expect them to get very aggressive on this next wave.
I wouldn't doubt it. LemonNation rushing Azanias for himself as well. These guys have the ability to start that fight and make it their own.
Oh!
Dyrus down to 300 HP. That's balls onto the turret. He is completely focusing it with the rest of the team. They know what objectives have to happen, when they have to happen. They're onto the inhibitor, only taking bits of damage here and there, and they're completely fine to stay.
Yeah, TSM looks honestly a little bit discombobulated right now. They do not seem to have that decisive voice of go. They don't land the hook. That was going to be the moment, but they still want to go.
That's the initiation we were talking about. Where's it come from? It has to be a hook. There's the Zanyas with the Soul Shackle going down, and it forces TSM in a full disengage. A good box being put down by Gleeb stops Cloud9 from getting any more out of it, but they didn't get anything they wanted there.
But the Baron regen keeps them interested. Cloud9 can continue the siege. Another missed hook from Gleeb. Cloud9 staying relevant.
Throwing it into the pool. They expect that to happen. We hear of supports kind of throwing it off to the side, and right now the hooks need to be hitting. They got to get one activation on that. TSM clearing up a little bit in this bottom lane as Cloud9 says, it's enough pressure for now. Let's take Dragon and regroup.
Yeah. Controlled play here by Cloud9. They know they have a big turret lead. They're taking many more dragons. The gold lead is now about 9,000. 3 dragons and a Baron. A lot of objectives for these guys. They're going to just look to control here. They know they have a lot of gold in their inventories. Everyone's sitting around 1,500. 7,500 unspent gold actually kind of negates their gold advantage, especially with the Baron buff now being off of them. They actually have to shop right now. TSM smart to take this turret.
Second tier finally going down in mid. The bottom one won't give them too much. It's not going to open it up. They're working at the top and mid right now, so TSM is actually doing all right for themselves in the bit of turret control they have. A minute and 50 is left on Baron, and that's going to be a huge and definitive fight for Cloud9, because I feel at this point they can kind of just pressure that. Yeah. They have the upper hand.
They have pink wards already in TSM jungle. This is the window Gleeb has to get rid of these. Luckily he got rid of one, but that's probably not going to be enough. WildTurtle did a lot to try and sneak up on Sneaky. He got that one time. It was not enough for the rest of them. Cloud9's played very controlled, and TSM has looked a little bit pushed around, so to speak, by Cloud9.
And something we thought with this lineup, something they could rely on was going back to Bjergsen, back to kind of focusing him in the mid lane. But as you said before, the game didn't even allow it. It was just they formulated something that kind of put them on the back foot.
Yeah. And especially the farm denial that they attempted on balls.
Right.
And
that's
him
true.
now sitting at 186 CS, only 20 lower than a mid laner. He spent so much time in that side lane getting free time, and TSM wasn't able to capitalize on that in any way, shape, or form. There will be a lot of talking to be done by TSM after this. The coach odd one. Reginald still kind of an owner, manager, coach, will still be helping out, I'm sure. Cloud9, they're longtime rivals. It's not like this is a new thing, losing to Cloud9. They've only ever beaten them once.
Right.
But they were hoping with these roster changes they could get a quick one for confidence. It does not seem to be that way. They'll need to work on game 2, most likely.
Cloud9's building up a lonely defense on those top sides. Like we said, LemonNation with the Zanyas, we saw him try to use that already. Looking at flashes, exhaust, heals, what everybody has. Most of the flashes are up, so an engage could be coming from both teams. In Jat's 15 seconds, we already got pings on the Baron, and TSM sets up goal side on that one.
Yeah, it would be suicide for TSM to start Baron.
Right.
Especially with it not even being spawned. They were just making sure they refresh the timer. Cloud9 pushing up mid. They're going to try and play it back and forth here. They have the bind catch potential, whereas TSM would have the Twitch and the Thresh catch potential. But the gold lead is such that they would need a miracle start in order to win an actual team fight.
Look at Gleeb getting caught out here, not with the team, cannot rotate around fast enough, and almost taken out by Meteos. He wanted to get out there. Gleeb should be able to get back with the team, but a possibility of getting them split at this point is very dangerous.
Yeah, we talked earlier as well. Amazing getting those 2 early kills and then trying to transition to tank. He really hasn't gotten much gold since then. The last fight we saw was actually, what, 15, 20 minutes ago with the Dragon Pit. Ever since then, it's just been Cloud9 slowly starving TSM out, and TSM was unwilling to try again in those team fights.
Does not want to die. That is the TSM mode they're playing in right now. They know they can get a fight if it happens the way they want it to, and they could probably come out on top of it. But right now, if Cloud9 gets that first bit of damage, we saw what happens. High almost taking down Amazing a few times, almost taking down Dyrus a few times, and he's quite tanky himself. Even Sneaky putting himself in the front of the fight, feeling that sure.
Yeah, look at the CS on Sneaky though, 284. He is very powerful right now. Kind of stepped his game up to another level at the All-Star event.
Yeah, that's true.
In Paris, especially on Twitch. With Twitch taken away from him, he just hops back onto Lucian, the de facto go-to AD carry.
Sneaky's always a player that wanted to push himself, taking #1 in Challenger after striving for it for months. Got it for himself. WildTurtle did take it back, but I'm sure he'll be there soon enough to get it back again. It's always that challenge of the tops.
Yeah, and just to get back to the game real quick.
Yeah.
Balls in the top lane, open inhibitor. 4 people of Cloud9 could maybe even win a 4v5 if they do it right. They're drawing TSM towards Baron, whereas there's not even a teleport up for Dyrus right now. So Cloud9 really putting TSM in an impossible situation right now. They're going to give up something. Great amount of damage by Turtle right there. It could stop the Baron play. But now they do need to send someone back for Balls. The inhib's down.
Balls has got it. He's got a big wave already past River that's going to come up beside him. This is Cloud9 now to stop the backs and hinder that from happening. TSM has still sent nobody back. There is a ping in the base. They're aware, obviously, of what's going on. And now this, oh my gosh, he's going to get
kills turrets very
a Nexus
fast.
turret on this one.
And still no one successfully backed by TSM.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, they either all go back to stop the inhibitor and give up Baron.
And Baron.
But they just got stuck between 2 places. Now they probably give up the inhibitor in a Nexus turret and the Baron. Amazing's going to try and flash steal us, but this is pure desperation.
Jet, at one point, you know, TSM was moving around the map, but this almost looks like silence. It almost looks like the communication is halted.
It's a tough task to start against Cloud9.
That's
the
true.
team that didn't have any roster changes to do. The 2 roster changes from TSM. I'm sure fans wanted to see a victory over Cloud9. That would have been a strong statement, but you can't realistically expect them to take down the 2-time defending champs.
A little chatter here and there you can still see on the screen, but it's always who's this, who's that, where are they? TSM trying to formulate what they can do and where to put themselves back into this game. 10,000 gold lead looking on the board. They're trying to look for this dragon in 15 seconds, but that is going to give Cloud9 time to take control of the map once again. They already have it. They're just getting themselves in position.
Yeah, we're only 33 minutes into this game, and we've only seen 1 team fight from this. That is not really the normal TSM or Cloud9 game you see. We've seen low kill games between these teams before, but I don't really feel like we've seen something as disengagey as this one. They're really avoiding each other as much as possible, and that could just be TSM being a little bit passive, a little bit scared of what to do. Or it's Cloud9 is playing so well strategically that TSM doesn't know where to go.
Well, they've dodged just about every hook that Gleeb has wanted to throw at them. They look like it's going to hit everyone. And then a quick sidestep. Cloud9 has been doing it all game. They've prevented themselves from getting too many deaths. Now to take out Blue, the control of the map is seen here as they just kind of mow through and make their way to the front door. A ping goes down on the inhibitor once again. We're going to have Balls pushing the lane, always off by himself. He's been on an island this game, but he's been doing great things.
Yeah. And look at all the armor he's built up. Thornmail and Randwinds, 2 things that Twitch, if he goes for Rat-a-tat, will eat when he shoots through. Will get the attack and move speed slow from the Randwinds, and will also take damage to himself. Really smart frontline build, knowing Lulu's not going to be killing him.
Slowly waiting on this one. Amazing. Could really help the team out here. They're not going to be able to do too much if they do go and get it. It's going to have to be a really great fight, but the Baron money would help with experience.
Cloud9 is really respecting Amazing's ability to smite here, or even just the chance that a smite steal could happen, because smite, we've talked about it a lot, doesn't actually do an absurd amount of damage. There's really high damage spells at this point in the game. It is not as reliable Baron securing source. So they're just using that as a focal point to draw TSM out, but they're not doing too much with it. They're hoping that Balls' super minions in the bottom lane can do some work for them.
They have sent Dyrus down to deal with that in the bottom lane. Team Solomid kind of in caution mode right now. Go ahead and back. They don't want to push anything past the mid lane. They don't even have really any forward wards that have been placed yet. They're kind of getting their own side of the field cleared out before they can move forward. Definitely a very patient game.
Yeah, with the Void Staff completed on a Bjergsen, he's a legitimate threat now if they could find an extended team fight. But there's a Death Cap DFG Void Staff LeBlanc against a team with very little magic resistance, especially an AD carry with no magic resist items. He wants to find a treat. He's got to watch out. High decides to go back instead of forward.
Not getting out the rat-a-tat on that one. Just regular shots out of ambush. They still have the ability to fight on this. But they're saying, even if he's hurt, oh, it does hit him coming out of the brush. They miss Meteos just on the edge of the hook. And once again, both teams kind of testing the waters here as they stare at each other face to face. Wards on both sides given vision. Dyrus pushing the bottom lane, but he does have a teleport in. Keep an eye on any of the wards they'll be using.
A lot of caution being displayed by Cloud9 here. High backed immediately after taking a small amount of harass from WildTurtle. And they immediately burn the culling as soon as TSM looks towards initiation.
Blue Elixir on high. He's ready to put out that extra bit of damage. Get his kill ready, but he's still getting pushed down the mid lane. Gonna get a good split on the team here. Cloud9 is actually without high on this one if he can't get to the fight too quick. Gleeb getting in close, but the shield's already used.
High could always flank around from the back, though, if this fight does start. The hook is not onto a priority target, and High is in the back. He could try to assassinate. This is the fight Cloud9 wants.
Balls eats down onto Amazing. It's gonna be big damage. Meteos gets hit up. Dyrus to the back line. Actually, Dragon's descent towards out of the fight, really. Not getting burnout damage in there. It's gonna be LemonNation going down, but Gleeb falls as well as the supports hit the ground. WildTurtle's the next one to go down. He can't get in ambush mode. Amazing and Dyrus are running for their lives. The pickup, the calling, one more stock, and High get the WQ. Distorting in range as the Glitter Lance hits, and it does not look like he'll have it. Almost getting taken down by the Wolf crit, but it looks like a safe getaway. 7-4 as Cloud9 moves into the base.
It's actually only a 2-for-1, and they get the inhibitor, but really, how much more can they get out of this? It seemed like a great start to the fight, but a pretty miraculous escape by TSM. Bjergsen gets back, and Amazing is doing his best to juke High.
Oh, quick cue. Got a little curve of all on that one.
Oh, lands? No, he doesn't get the Glitter Lance on his.
Greedy.
Whew. Oh, boy.
So technically they did stop, they lost an inhibitor, but they did stop the Baron,
yeah,
which is good. And then they ran halfway across the map.
Amazing's death timer, though, could be the end of that Baron. 35 seconds with Lemon dealing with that bottom lane minion wave.
Well, he's got Twitch Shadows now. He's got himself a good amount to get up that ability power. Let's see what the rest of the team does. Meteos making sure everything is swept out. Sweeper's still yet to be used on TSM, so they can move up pretty cautiously here and keep themselves safe. I don't know how he dodged that one. Just lifted his arm real quick.
Blade of the Ruin King completed on a Sneaky, so a lot of lifesteal for the incremental amounts of damage he's going to be taking. If Lulu Glitter Lance kind of catches him, he needs to lifesteal up very quickly. It's a very mobile Lucian build. Still great damage on culling as well.
At some point, do we worry that Cloud9 isn't finishing the game as TSM scale mode here?
You absolutely have to worry about that a little bit. Late game Twitch can still devastate people, no matter what. And that is going to be a worry. You know, it's an 11,000 gold lead, 38 minutes, but still only 4 kills, and Cloud9 has maintained a certain level of control that they haven't necessarily capitalized on. So there's probably an added emphasis now for them to really go for Baron. They see Dyrus, they're going for it, they know they have war control, and they actually have Spooky Ghost playing defense for them. There's the Baron.
Baron goes down. Everybody's quite close to level 18 on the side of Cloud9. It may not take much more for this game to be over. Bjergsen with a good Glitter Lance on the backside. Oh, he gets the W! The Lantern out as Gleeb comes for safety, but that is a very hurt Bjergsen. He does have home guards to get himself back in, but we'll see what they can do as Cloud9 moves in.
He saved his ultimate, but the minion wave is arriving soon, and Balls is there now. They're trying to get inhibitor number 2 while TSM back to base.
Necessary to start that one off. They come in slowly to keep it going and lower the armor a little bit on the turret, but as they make their way out 40 minutes in, they drop the second inhibitor.
Oh, they don't sweep the ward, though. This sneak attack is not necessarily going to work. It's worth a thought, though.
This would be great. High's right on the outside.
Does it actually?
Oh, no, how do you grab Balls past High? Oh, they go in. The Wild Growth is perfect. Gleeb is huge now, but is it enough? He's not even turning around to attack. He's running away on the outside. Rat-a-tat's coming through, but it's not able to shred enough damage. Bjergsen's now the focus. Bjergsen's now dead, and Dyrus does what he can to help Turtle get out of his shell on that one to safety. He's gonna go down as well with the Guardian Angel there, but it's not a Guardian Angel enough. That's the Nexus turret. That's the first game of your NALCS Summer Split. Cloud9 is gonna take the win at 40 minutes.
What a way to end, too, on top of a ward. It's almost as if TSM got tired of trying to make plays and just went in for them. Cloud9 right there. A nice victory. 71,000 gold, 13 kills to 5. Nice return for High.
Very good return for High. Still kept the aggression up, kept the CS up in the game. Seemed like they were a little caught off guard by what happened in the early part, but knew what to do immediately. It wasn't a thought process, it was just already in line.
Well, they were the ones that got their top lane farm denied many times at the All-Star in Paris, and they had time to rethink how to go around that.
Ball says, I know what this is.
Yeah. Right there.